Morning, everyone. So I wanted to do like a year update. So my YouTube video, we went did a walk around on the car. So I kind of want to do like a year wrap up of how crazy the car has gotten in just 1 year. Alright, so we still have the 2.7 in it. It still was at Lemon's A4 2.7 swap. Now, after blowing the KO3 turbos on kill mode, big single GT 3582 turbo on it. The turbo kit was Excess Power. They sponsored the build this year, supplied us with a single turbo kit. We went non-intercooled. The reason for that was the frame rails on this car are very, very wide, and it's kind of hard to get a good intercooler system that has nice and short piping. So with this big turbo, it still spools very, very quickly. Obviously nothing to get hit in an impact. And then we have our Snow Performance water meth injection to keep the air intake nice and cool. We got the two nozzles in that there, so as the boost increases, we spray more meth. So air intake temperatures and stuff stay nice and cool, even with our drifting and high RPM throttle. Another big noticeable difference is no more power steering pump here. The power steering pump was deleted, and we went to an electric steering column via a Prius steering column. So we have electric steering on the column with a factory rack. So obviously I had to do a power steering delete, just running a 4-rib belt pulley there with underdrive pulley that I got. Yeah, everything stays nice and cool. Alternator charges that well. We went with the 034, they're a mainline sponsor here on the car, fuel rails. So that's not really nice with our 1300cc injectors on E85. Fuel rails are absolute must. I rewired the harness, still again mathless, tuned by Braddock at Watkins. Hardwired in and got rid of the IMS deletes. Hardwired, simplified the harness. If you can see, B5 guys, look at how thin that wiring harness is. So deleted all the other stuff that we don't use out of the car. One huge change to the car is we are running the FDF Mantis angle kit for the B5. That requires you to move the steering rack. So instead of just using the factory dual / false firewall and just moving the rack forward, what I did is I found a drag race guy who cut out the entire half firewall area and just put a bar in. So I moved the rack 1 inch up and 2 inches forward to make the angle kit and that work. The angle kit is pretty crazy on this car. So this isn't full lock, but still running the airlift air ride. I apologize guys, it's dirty from the last event. So airlift air ride, had to make a custom top mount to clear. If you see up there, it's got the Heim joint in that for the upper mount. AZ Euro supplied the angle kit, so again, the mainline sponsor here for me, the main sponsor on the car. Nice double shear tie rod, clears the bag all nice and nice. She just barely clears the knuckle there. There's not a lot of room in between, but had to run a high offset, low width wheel just to partly clear the body. So she's pretty wide, she's pretty thick. So yeah, that's it for the front. We put the headlights in, modified them, trying to make the car look like the 80s GTO. So wanted the more sticker style looking headlights with just a light bar in there, keeps it nice and bright and functional on the track for me. I mean, she's had some battle scars. I think it was the second event out. That was a tandem damage with the Miata. AZ Euros. So this season we started with AZ Euros on board. We started with 034 coming out almost immediately out of our first event. But Brad at Get Watkins Tuning, Christian and Chad at AZ Euros were my first sponsors. They really saw the potential in this chassis and the potential in me. Sincerely appreciate their help in that on the car. This year we added integrated engineering, Motool, EBC brakes, motorsports hardware. That's a wrap. They're going to be redoing the car for next season. Possibly we're building another car, so they'll help us get that guy wrapped. Print Driven Media for coming out and help me shoot the car, get some publicity in that on the car, and all my other sponsors. I sincerely appreciate you guys' help for this year. Thanks, man. Again, with AZ Zeros, got an RS6, C5 RS6, big brake upgrade for the back. We are still front and front A4 brakes, but we got EBC rotors on there, and EBC yellow pads. Huge shout out to them. They came on board, overnighted me some parts so I could make it to an event, and ended up having to completely change the brake bias on the car because we had so much front brake, going from like an eBay special rotor and pad to quality EBC stuff. So same with the rear. Went with the blue pads because they don't take much heat to start working. They're like a good in-between track pad in that, so I have instant lockup in that from the e-brake. Again, IE, get a lot of parts from SDHQ, support local business, Motool, EBC. Thank you guys for being on board this season. Again, more damage, put it in a K-rail again. That was partly due to just trying to learn the EBC brakes because they had so much grip and bite out of the pedal. I wasn't expecting it, and the front end washed out. I got a NASCAR style wing on the back, clearance the trunk in that so we can get in some nice airflow in that out of the back. Again, no issues with cooling on this thing with the radiator and that in the back. Added a fuel cell just to try to simplify the rear suspension. It just allows axle changes, allows weight bias better, just all around great. So that 335 water pump still rocking and rolling. Got an IE surge tank in that back here with an 044 pump. Coming off of the fuel cell there, it has a supply pump or a suction pump that just helps fill the surge tank, so it's always full of fuel. And then the 044 pump takes over and really supplies the fuel in that. So need to get in here and tidy this stuff up. When we build the new chassis and that, we'll get all this stuff ironed out and really final fitted. We've done so many revisions in that in the back of this car. And there's a lot of things that I would do differently the second time, but there wasn't a lot of information out there. There's not a lot of B5 or Audi race cars, period. So just kind of making my own path there. So Snow Performance Water Meth mounted up there. That does seem to last longer than fuel, so that's great. Surge tank up there, nice high point. Again, no issues with cooling on this car. We'll be going to a dual surge on the next car, just so we have redundancy on pump. I've already had one of the 044 pumps fail. We did mount 2 underside fans sucking, and then this Taurus fan helps blow it out. So I really only use the Taurus fan primarily, and then the other fans, when I shut the car off, I run the water pump and the small fans and help cool the car down in the pits. So I had to raise up the flares and that on the car, just because we were getting so much squat out of the car. We were actually pinching the tire in between the fender well. So I went in and cut, clearance out the fender well. My ultimate goal is, especially building another B5 chassis, is I do want to fiberglass and build some rear quarter panels. That way I don't have a problem going and riding a wall, ripping the back end off the car. I can just simply put a fiberglass overskin back on it and keep going. So if you saw I had an underglow in that in the car, I need to redo it. It's been a season, so wiring and that gets pinched and kind of drug on the ground and that. Batteries mounted back here. I had to wrap the coolant lines going through the car for regulations. We did do an O1E swap, so we have the correct 6-speed trans and that in the car. We did blow out a clutch during an event this season. It was just a standard RS4 Luke clutch with a standard dual mass flywheel. AZ Euro supplied me with a 034 billet flywheel, lightweight aluminum flywheel on a Tilton twin disc. So the car's got a monster clutch in it now. That's never going to be a failure point for me. Added an e-brake. I do run inline manual brakes. Due to the rack relocation and the bar in that I built, the booster did not fit. So made a custom bracket, made custom linkage, and don't run a brake booster now. So just manual brakes on the master cylinder. This car, I really apologize for the video. I mean, honestly, the fire extinguisher is just sitting there in the back, so that's not the greatest. The car's dirty. It's been abused. It just went through 12 hours of drifting the last time we had it out. And she took every bit of it. I have broken 2 rear diffs, 3 axles, and a clutch this season. So not too bad, not for a maiden voyage, you know, learning all this stuff and trying to make it all work. So got some more gauges and that in there. Pretty basic race car stuff, man. Cooler Works shifter, huge shout out to them. They're not one of my sponsors, but I absolutely love their shifters. I run them in every race car I've built, and really top quality stuff. So it'd be cool to have them on as a sponsor. I did move the tablet over here. I was having connectivity issues and that with the Bluetooth. So I don't know what I'm gonna do for next season. I kind of wanted to just run like a monster tack and like 3 gauges and just call her a day. Kind of NASCAR like, but we'll see what happens. A Holly digital dash would be sick as well. So yeah, again, 1 year since the build. All right, thanks guys for watching this follow-up year build project. I sincerely appreciate all of you guys following, subscribing, liking me on Instagram, AZ Euros Austin, following all my sponsors. I mean, guys, thank you so much. It really, you're supporting my dream in that, but it's super awesome to see it 1 year from now and how wild and crazy the car has gotten. So please keep following along. Next season, we're gonna go really hard, really try to go after competition and get this B5 chassis out there. I think I gotta work the details out with Christian and AZ Euros, but I think that is gonna be the next B5 chassis for next season. So we'll pretty much get everything swapped over from this chassis to that chassis. And then this chassis will essentially get like a refresh. So I think this motor was a stock motor, so we're limited by the rods and that in it. But for a party car, it would be plenty of power. So basically mimic this setup. I probably would put an intercooler on it just so I don't have to run water meth. That way it can just go lap after lap after lap. And then that car will get the non-intercooled IE built motor with Get Watkins tuning just turned all the way up, and just that car will be an absolute monster. That car will probably get the insane wide body. We'll probably put some more grip in that into that car because it'll have more power. The angle kit will go on that car. This car will just go back to 034 arms and kind of stockish front suspension. This car will keep the air ride because it's the party car. That car will probably get KWV 3s, and again, that'll be the competition car. This will be the party car. So keep following along for more B5 drift action. Thanks, guys.